Rockstar News, East Branch. I'm Amber, and this is my partner, Ava.
Hi, today's discussion topic is the differences in degrees of and victims of hate crimes. Race and ethnicity are the most common motives for hate crimes.
Race is defined as a group of people who share certain physical characteristics like facial structure or skin color.
Ethnicity is defined as the state of belonging to a social group that has a common national or cultural tradition.
Hate crimes are defined as a type of crime that typically involve violence. These crimes are usually motivated by prejudice due to race, religion, and sexual orientation.
Hate crimes happen just about everywhere around the world. They are such a common occurrence that videos such as this one are rarely found important, which should be seen as a problem.
This national campaign demonstrates how hate crimes can be a criminal offense.
Oh, another one. Get that stupid thing off your head!
Look at the wheels! My wheels! You need to get off the bus. You're useless.
If you target anyone with verbal, online, or physical abuse because of their religion, race, sexual orientation, disability, or transgender identity, you may be committing a hate crime. It's not just offensive, it's an offense.
Even though the rate of hate crimes across various countries differs, it is constant that race is the most common bias for hate crimes across these countries. 47% of hate crimes that are reported are racially motivated.
In the United States, there are a variety of races that are targets of hate crimes. However, African Americans suffer most as victims of hate crimes in the United States. Black individuals are victims of hate crimes 52.7% of the time in the United States.
In the United States today, most hate crimes that occur are directed at African Americans. In 2017, African Americans comprised 28% of all hate crimes victims. That means, on average, 8 African Americans a day will become a hate crime victim. Historically, the systematic oppression of African and Black Americans in the United States began with slavery. Even after slavery ended, African Americans were not truly free from many factors. Racism towards Black Americans may have changed in the way it is targeted over the years, but the underlying factors and hate crimes show that it has increased and shown how Blacks have been targeted in hate crimes. The stigma has been held against Blacks by racists and white supremacists.
Recently, in October of 2019, a man painted racial slurs and imagery on the walls of his rental home. He was an Ohio tenant who is now serving a federal prison sentence for his crime. The target of his racial slurs? The interracial family from whom he rented the home. He did this because they evicted him for not paying his rent. So, he returned to the home, broke in, and vandalized it.
The vandalism did not receive a lot of media coverage. Even though the target was just an individual, the degrading terms that were used in the vandalism were offensive to people of African descent in general. Similarly, in the UK, the number of reported hate crimes has surprisingly been drastically increasing since 2013. Specifically, hate crimes that were racial increased by 11% from 2018 to 2019. In 2013, the UK Home Office used social media to discuss how racial comments made on the internet can be considered hate crimes. They were quickly attacked for hypocrisy, though, as people described how the Home Office started a project to send out vans saying "Go Home" directed at immigrants. The vans received both news and social media coverage. People on social media were angry about the messages and advocated to get the vans off the streets. They posted about the hypocrisy of the whole situation. The vans targeted the entire community of immigrants and were not meant for any single individual.
In addition to the rise in hate crimes in the United Kingdom, in Canada, hate crimes are reaching an all-time high. The majority of reported crimes were centered around Muslim, Jewish, and African American people. About 16% of these incidents involved African American victims. In the year 1990, the leader of the Nationalist Party of Canada was charged with the promotion of hatred. He published The Nationalist Reporter, which emphasized and advocated for white supremacy.
And now over to our West Branch to further discuss this topic on hate crimes.
Hello, and welcome to Rockstar News, Channel 153, West Branch. My name's Sabrina, and this is my partner,
Mike. Hello. There are several types of racist motives that can influence how people act. The group norm racist motive stems from the norms that define racism as acceptable, even desirable, because certain areas may find African American racism to be commonplace. For example, seeing Islamics as outcasts or stereotyping them as dangerous after 9/11 was a group norm racist motive.
The political territorial racist motive stems from majority members within specific societies believing that the area belongs to them and that any other members are not welcome there. For example, in a community of entirely white families, a family from African descent moving in could suffer from the political territorial motive. The following video clip is added in order to be able to show an example of this.
Already been 12 to 13 years of institutionalized affirmative action for white folks. That is to say, racially embedded inequality, which has benefited those of us who are white.
But even though that's true, there's clearly this feeling among a lot of white people that things used to be easier and that now those good old days are slipping away.
How did we get here? I don't even understand this America anymore.
And underneath all of that is a very clear, if unstated, racial subtext.
The bigotry racist motive describes how racism may stem from a stereotype-based hatred or fear for a certain group. For example, assumptions can be made about white people's behavior in relation to other races, as white people have historically oppressed others.
The ideological racist motive demonstrates that racism fits with some people's fundamental beliefs about the world. For example, white may be viewed as the superior race, and for that reason, see all other races as inferior. There are a number of motives for committing racist acts that could differ in various countries depending on the history of each country and what societal norms allow in specific areas of each given country.
Do you know what a hate crime is? Open your eyes. These are crimes. We all agree. But these can also be hate crimes if you look deeper. The bias motivation is what makes them hate crimes. A hate crime is a criminal act based on ethnicity, sexual orientation, physical condition. Hate crimes are motivated by real or presumed identity. That makes even you a potential victim. Each hate crime makes more than one victim. The person who is the target of the attack, his or her identity, and the community he or she represents. Targets of hate crimes are often lost in fear and isolation. They might not find the courage to report to the authorities. Reporting is crucial. We need civil society and governments to work together so that victims feel safe to report. With official recognition of the incidents which occur, victims can receive the support they need, and we can prevent hate crimes from happening at all. Now that you know, open your eyes again. Do you see what a hate crime is? Let's work together to make them visible to everyone.
Anyone can be a victim of a hate crime, and it brings offense to the group that the victim fits in as well. Hate crimes emotionally attack victims and make them feel like they do not belong. Hate crimes are something that need to be prevented by drawing attention to the damage that they truly do.
Nations around the world experience bias-related crimes for different reasons and to different degrees. Racial and ethnic majority and norms differ across different areas of the world, but that does not change that there will always be a group that serves as the minority and a group that is made to feel like they do not belong.
Hate crimes are an increasing problem in nations around the world. There is a trend of Black people being targeted in countries with a population majority of white people. Although the motives may vary from area to area, the intent to make a certain group feel like they don't belong does not.